I cannot make any of this stuff up because you probably just saw where I turned it on. It did not say it was doing live broadcast. So I stopped the music and then it says it's going. So you see my face looking like, but you know what? That is an example of sometimes you just have to roll with it. You just have to make the best out of the situation. You keep moving forward, you don't get frustrated, and you keep just pushing. So welcome to Growth Groove with Dr. Ericka. I am super excited because I get to spend my evening a little bit with you. Now, as you know, this is Growth Groove. So this is where you can find me Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern. As many of you know, and some people I realize don't know, that the content I do on Growth Groove, hey Shelby, isn't exactly the same content of my podcast. So the podcast episodes are totally different than these because some people are like, "Oh, I didn't watch your podcast live," and I'm like, "Well, you can watch my live stream, but it's different than the podcast." But guess what? I'm so excited because tonight we're doing a quick update, but quick housekeeping. If you don't know me, I'm your host, Dr. Ericka, Harvard-trained, double board-certified psychiatrist and host of the hit podcast, Better with Dr. Ericka. I am extremely and irrationally passionate about helping people be better, do better, and live better. I do that through my adult telepsychiatry practice, my books, including Fix Your Fairy Tale, A Woman's Guide to a Great Life, Love, and Legacy, my speaking, and my podcast that we just mentioned. I do all of that to help busy people like you that give and give and give and show up for everybody, but often don't show up for yourself. I do this to put you back in your life because you deserve to be the star of your show. So tonight we're just going to do some updates. We're just going to talk about some things that are going on. What is going on? What are the happenings? So I figured this is a good time to just do a quick update in the middle of, because you know what is tonight? It is election day. It is midterm election day. You all know I am broadcasting from Georgia, which is the world of all things extra special touch. So just lean in, listen to the whole episode. We aren't going to be here that long. So you're going to want to catch every single thing that we're going to talk about tonight. So the first thing is we have an election going on. One of the things to me that's really big is being inspired by everyday life, things that are going on in the world. And yes, yay, I early voted because you know what? There are so many shenanigans between all of the I wouldn't say voter registration. It's actually voter suppression going on. I did not want to take a chance and wait to vote on election day. So I voted early a few weeks ago. But one of the ways I feel like the election is inspiring, despite all of the madness around elections and around our government, is the fact that even though sometimes it doesn't feel like we have a lot of power, there is power in the vote, and just realizing that there are systems that we can impact, but we have to take our power back and we have to take accountability for doing our part to influence the community as a whole in our life. How I find that really inspiring is that when we vote together and we vote for the things that are going to matter for us to be seen, to take good care of people, especially at a time where everyone's not necessarily here for you. Everyone's not necessarily looking out for you. We've seen a full-out assault on women's rights. We've seen assault on voting rights. We've seen assaults currently on affirmative action. There is so much going on that I think it's good to be reminded that despite the chaos and all of what seems like to be the crazy, you do still have some power. It's not all gone. So to me, the election, the thing that's really inspiring about it is that it reminds you to use your power. It reminds you do have power and to use it and to take it back. To not let people steal your power by not voting, and then they act like, say they represent you, but they don't. So to me, the inspiration from the election is to take your power back. To me, that's one of the biggest things as far as helping with mood and mental health is there's something that's very common, whether I'm dealing with someone with bad ADHD, someone with depression, someone with bipolar disorder, someone with schizophrenia, someone with PTSD, or someone that's just feeling stressed, overwhelmed, and burned out. And there's this key of feeling out of control and powerless. It makes a whole lot of difference when you actually feel like you have power. And And apparently, you should see my teacup. Ain't nothing in it. So we're going to try to make it through my allergies. We're going to pour this last little couple of, literally couple of sips of tea to make it happen. But I may be coughing. Lord Jesus, and I don't have COVID. The next thing is just finding inspiration from TV. What you all know by now is I can be active, get around, take walks on the Beltline, but the other thing is sometimes my couch holds me hostage. So I want to talk about a few things that have been on my TV and how that's inspired me, and maybe that will help inspire you. The first thing is this show, See. Now, if you haven't heard it, it has Jason Momoa in it. Fine, Jason Momoa. But the premise is, with no spoilers, is that there's been kind of this virus. It's wiped out a lot of humankind and everybody's blind. And then at some point, so there are some people born with sight. So the whole thing just is apocalyptic, dealing with, and almost, it reminds you almost of like some old school stuff around what life would be like in moving through this. But it's much more exciting than I'm saying. But to me, one of the things that inspired me, and I know it's still fiction, was seeing how much everybody could do. That they may have had some limitations, but they, number one, didn't look at them as limitations, but they still found ways to amplify their strengths and to still move forward. And I think what happens sometimes, and it's so easy, especially in a time where you've dealt with so many challenges, and it just seems like I've talked to so many people, friends, family, and patients, where it just seems like even I'm looking like, can you get a break? I just want you to get a break, because it's just been so much stuff between people losing jobs, people dying, pandemic, monkeypox, women's rights issues, people trying to figure out how to manage fertility in this age, how to manage money in a recession. It's just all the things. And to me, the inspiration from that is these people are able to have full-fledged communities, relationships, raise children, have a full life, and be blind. And everybody be blind. And I think it's just a reminder of what can happen when we get the tools to move past our struggles. Now, you notice I didn't say just get over it, but it's getting the tools, the support, and the help to push through those challenges. Because to me, it inspired me. All these blind people just making it happen. And I want you to be able to make it happen too. And I realize sometimes that's going to be having different supports from friends and family, to engaging your coworkers, engaging other services, to engaging your wellness team, which you hear me talk about a lot here and on the podcast. But I want you to think about that. The next thing is I'm watching a little bit of Love is Blind. Yes, I am. You might be like, what do you get out of Love is Blind other than just watching what looks like a train wreck? Well, beyond the train wreck, it's just seeing some of human nature. And I think there's something to be said, because one of the things you see with the show is a whole lot of representative, is the power of being authentic and the things that you can attract to yourself, and the success you can have personally and professionally when you're able to live in your authenticity. And to me, that's something that's really important right now, in a time where I was also watching the show Hair Tales, and just all of these times where you may feel that it's not acceptable to be your authentic self. And I feel like one of the biggest challenges, but one of the power of the time we're in, is it's a time where authenticity is being more appreciated and celebrated. The power of uniqueness on the collective. I believe we're in a time where people are ready to accept that. So I just wanted to mention that. And, I love Star Wars. So, I've seen Tales of the Jedi and Andor. And to me, if you want to say what's the one thing that inspired me out of there, is just seeing how important it is to get all the data. And that comes up with this election. But the things that happen when we make decisions without all the information, and how important it is to be able to get information to make decisions to figure out what you want to do and to figure out what side on issues you want to be on. So that's my update on some of my personal stuff. The next thing is just really having some time, and I've worked on making some time and space for it, and I encourage you to do it too, is to have some quiet time. And sometimes you speak it aloud, sometimes you write it down, but just sometimes you just pray on it or meditate on it, but just to get clarity on what your vision is. What do you practically really want your life to look like, personally and professionally, so that you can make sure that those goals and those actions you're taking are aligned with getting you to where you want to be. And one of the things that happens that gets a little bit complicated is when we're not sure where we're going. And you don't have to necessarily know all the details, but I want to encourage you to take some time to get some clarity, because that's something I've been doing lately, to get clarity on what kind of things do I want to do clinically? What kind of things do I want non-clinically? What do I want my personal life to look like? What kind of relationships do I want? Where do I want to live? And I think it will potentially re-energize you to get clarity, because then you don't feel like you're just kind of running around doing whatever. But one of the things I've heard on numerous things that I've watched and some conversations I've had is, and it also even came up in the book launch that I told you about last week, was this idea of committing to yourself or recommitting to yourself. And that's something I challenge you to do. And I've had to do it for me, is committing to myself and committing to my health and committing to doing what's necessary for the lifestyle that I want, which is to be able to help people on a large scale be better, do better, live better, to take the Better 7 to bigger heights, to take my podcast to bigger heights, to do all those kinds of things, to amplify my voice so I can continue to help people. But I want to encourage you to think about committing to yourself. Oh, you know what? I have not been I've got all this stuff up here and I have not been changing it. But I want to encourage you to do that, because you deserve it. And it's harder to disappoint yourself with inaction if you really commit to yourself, because then doing what you need to do for you becomes very intentional. And we take a lot of time and energy committing ourselves to other people, your family, your friends, your job, your church. You commit to all these things, but how often do you really commit in a very intentional way to yourself? And I think you deserve that. Now, on these little updates, I told you I'd update you on some things going on with Dr. Ericka. So we kind of talked about what are some of the things that have been on my mind and how possibly we can get on some of these journeys together. The next is my blog is coming back. I've not blogged in a while, so I'm really excited that we're going to have more blogs coming out. So, now we have something for everybody. You can catch me here on YouTube, on Facebook, and catch my videos. If you like just listening to stuff, you can hear my podcast. And if you like reading things, you'll be able to read the blog. I haven't blogged in a while, and we're about to really put some energy behind it. I'm really excited. And then if you just like multiple, do it all. You can do it all. But I'm really excited to tell you that my blog is coming back. And the other thing is, I've been podcasting. I have some really good episodes coming up. I feel like we've really hit a stride with formatting. I would love for you to tell me if there's something you want to hear, something you want more of, less of. Just let a sister know. Just shoot me a DM or a comment and let me know. We'll see if we can make that happen. But that's really what I got for you. Again, I'm Dr. Ericka, your host. I'm your double board certified Harvard trained psychiatrist, and I'm here to help you be better, do better, and live better. I'm just passionate about helping. And I do that through my adult telepsychiatry, my books, including Fix Your Fairy Tale, A Woman's Guide to a Great Life, Love, and Legacy, my podcast, Better with Dr. Ericka, and my speaking. I do all of that to help put you back in your life, because you deserve it. So if you need a little mental health support, and this can be even if you need a mental health checkup, you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed, depressed, anxious, whatever the case may be, feel free to visit askdrgoodwin.com, askdrgoodwin.com. You can get more information for a complimentary consultation. The next thing is, askdrgoodwin.com, you see it. Then the last thing is, you can catch my podcast, Better with Dr. Ericka. New episodes release on Tuesdays. The episode this week deals with sex and intimacy for better mental health. Who don't want to hear about how to make sex and intimacy work for your mental health? And my guest is Irene Fair. Totally love her. You should tune in and check it out. You can find it on all podcasts, well, most of them. So go for where your favorite podcast is, including iHeartRadio, Audible, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or go to betterthepodcast.com. Check us out. And if you like what you hear, do me a favor. Rate and review and follow and subscribe. Can you do that? You got this. So I'm just glad to have you, glad to spend some time with you. Thanks for taking time out. Hopefully things go your way with the election and we don't wake up with a whole lot of extra special stuff in the morning. Just sending some positive energy out for you. Take your left hand, put it on your right arm, take your right hand, put it on the left arm. Give yourself a squeeze because you deserve it. I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern for Growth Groove with Dr. Ericka. Until next time, have a better day.